there. Welcome to this episode of Experts on Purpose. The special guest we have today is Toni Bache. Toni is not your average seven-figure business coach. She is a vivacious Australian helping busy women build and scale online businesses without sacrifice. She is obsessed with memberships because of the freedom, flexibility, and impact they can create. Toni has made it her mission to create a movement inspiring female founders to create $1 million plus memberships without the hustle. She has all the pieces of paper, a Bachelor of Business, an MBA. She studied leadership at Harvard, and she is a professional certified coach through ICF, a board certified coach, a certified executive coach, and a strength certified coach. But she maintains that none of these are as valuable as the experience she has gained scaling her own businesses and helping hundreds of clients scale their own. She left a lucrative global vice president role in a Fortune 500 company where she was responsible for large teams and multi-million-dollar deals to enjoy the membership business she has created and to free up her time to focus on helping other women do the same. Hey, Toni, welcome to Experts on Purpose.
Thank you so much for having me.
I think all the authors and other people listening to this episode will love it because a lot of them have this goal of converting their book into an online course or a membership site or some form of an online business. And you are an expert at that. But before we reach that stage, I'm really curious to know what made you quit your, vice president level, seven-figure corporate career to become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, look, I think for me, I was sort of having the side hustle gig for a very, very long time and like juggling both because I think I was just probably like a lot of people listening today, a little bit scared to take that step because it's a big deal. It's a big deal because that career is such a big part of your identity. And obviously it can be scary because like financially, it's like, well, I've got a pretty good deal. But I think it ultimately came down to when I was working with my clients outside of my corporate gig, like I was just so happy. Like I just loved doing it so much and I couldn't switch it off. Like I would be like, okay, I want to make sure I'm not working so much. So I'll take on less clients, but I would just get so excited talking to them and it just lit me up so much. And it finally got to the point where, financially, it was very safe to jump ship, but I have to tell you, a great coach gave me some advice many, many years ago. And he said, nobody leaves a job and nobody leaves a marriage and says, oh, I wish I would have stayed longer, and I think that's 100% true. I think, I loved my corporate career. I'm super grateful for my corporate career, but certainly once I was finished and that chapter had closed and I was able to full-time focus on my business and was really in my happy place, I was just like, why didn't I do this sooner? So I think, for anyone that's listening, that's kind of, you've written your book or you're thinking about writing your book or you're thinking about starting your online course or membership and you're like, oh, it's scary. And I just give you that same advice that the only thing you're going to regret once you do it is that you didn't do it sooner. And you can always go back, right? Like there's no real scary thing. You can always go back into corporate. That's always there as a safety net. But you can create a much more well-rounded lifestyle business that lights you up and fulfills you so much more when you have your own business.
So true. And that freedom that comes with being your own boss is so priceless. I remember this, Toni, about 10 years ago when I had quit my job and I wanted to go on a vacation. For the first time in my life, I could go without applying for leave and seeking somebody's permission. And that felt so liberating. And I can sense the same thing from your experience. But one thing that you did very smartly is you did not quit your job because of some frustration and then wonder what to do later. Instead, you started something on the side. So what was that side hustle that you were doing? And at what point did you ultimately get into that full time?
Yeah, for sure. So I had always had like little side businesses. I think, right from gosh, I remember even in high school, I was like studying and working like 2 or 3 jobs at the same time, just because I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit. So I always had little side things happening. But the real turning point for me was I had actually been really sick, and I was working in my corporate job, and I was just super unwell, and not like dying, needing to be in hospital, but just not feeling myself. And I'd been to see like loads of doctors and they couldn't quite figure it out. And I'd even had like, I had some vertigo issues, and they gave me like a minor surgery on my ear. Like I'd had all of these things and nothing was helping. And I said, you know what? I have to take charge of my own health and well-being. And so I started breaking down, what are the things I can do to look after my own health and well-being and try and heal myself, because, you know, traditional Western medicine isn't working for me.
Yeah.
And one of the things I decided is I want to exercise more consistently, because being in a busy corporate job, traveling a lot, I was like really inconsistent. I loved exercising, but I was really inconsistent with it. So I decided I'm going to exercise every single day for 30 days. And so I did that. I got some friends to like cheer me on, and I did that. And then after 30 days, I was like, that's not so bad. Maybe I can do it for a bit longer. And then that became 60 days and 90 days. And then I did it for a full year. And my husband said to me, he said, you should write a blog post about your experience, because it was a pretty big transformation, like physically and my health, but also I think just, you know, that having small habits and being able to stick to habits, and that, I guess, discipline you build in yourself and how you feel in yourself. And so I wrote this blog post on my husband's blog. My husband's a runner. His blog is only for friends and family. So this is not some big fancy blog. I sat down and I wrote it before work. I was like typed it out very quickly and press publish, and didn't think anything more of it. I thought a couple of friends and family are going to read it. And then I got an email from Ariana Huffington's publication Thrive saying, this is amazing, can we publish it? And I'm like, of course. But then what happened is I started getting thousands of people reaching out to me going like, this is great. How did you do it? How can I do it too? And that's when the entrepreneurial hat flipped on and went, hey, actually, I can turn this into an opportunity. And so I thought, I'm going to create a course about, you know, how they can build that same thing in their life. And it was a 30-day course, and there was a little lesson every day, which, by the way, if you're thinking of doing a course, that's a horrible idea. I knew nothing about creating courses, but I did it. And I had over 300 people sign up to take my course. I completely designed it.
This was back in 2017.
Gosh, I don't even know, maybe even before that. It was around then, like 2016, 2016, 2017. I can't even remember the exact date, but around then. And I was just like, I had no idea. Like I knew a lot about business, but like courses, that's a whole new world to me. And in 2 weeks, I went from having nothing at all, like just this blog post, to a website where they could sign up. I could take their money, I could get their email, and I had the course. I was like building it on the fly, and it was really, really successful. And that was kind of what birthed me having that real solid side hustle, because that course got run a few times, and then that course became a membership, and then I became well known for having a great membership. And so then people started to get my advice about courses and memberships, and it sort of grew from there. And, you know, my passion, I've always been a coach. I've always been certified as a coach. My passion has always been like business, but doing that in a healthy way. So I feel like it was such a beautiful evolution to kind of help people first with their life, and then help people now with their business, which I just love doing.
I just love this organic way that you've, grown, Toni. And what makes me, what I've understood from your journey and so many other experts who come on this show is that you did not intentionally decide to build a huge business. You wanted to personally improve one area of your life. And a lot of people, they work on their health, they get better, and they keep it to themselves, right? But you decided to write that blog post, and that one thing changed everything, right? And I'm sure your intention is to serve others and give them some inspiration by sharing your journey. And that one thing led to the other. And now you have this super successful business.
100%. And I think that's the thing for me. It's never been like, of course, there's an element of finances because you have to feed your family and, those sorts of things.
Absolutely,
but that's never been the driving force. Like, I just love helping people. And I actually get myself in trouble sometimes because I care more about my clients' results than my results. And sometimes I care more about their results than they do because I'm just so like, that's what lights me up, is helping people and seeing them create something they didn't necessarily think was possible. So I just love that so much. And now my mantra is that I want to change more people's lives with my marketing than my memberships or courses or anything I have in the future ever will, because it's not about me just being there to help people if they exchange money with me. It's about, we can actually create a movement of people creating these lives that they never thought they could, like these experts that can go on and they can be this ripple effect of changing so many other lives. So if we all have that same attitude, we will magnetize opportunities and finances to us if we just go out there in the world with the intention to serve and change people's lives.
Yeah, very well said, Toni. So at what point did whatever you started doing become your 5-minute business program?
Yeah, so it actually happened relatively quickly. 5-minute business took a few years to kind of get off the ground, but not long after I had launched my course and membership, a lot of people saw what I was doing and started asking me, how did you do that? How did you do that? And I'm one of those people that when I do something, I go and research everything, learn everything. So I was, in the evenings, on the weekends, I was taking every course you could possibly imagine. I was reading every book you could imagine. I was hiring every person that you could have ever imagined in this space. Like, I was just becoming an expert to help me be the best in my business I could be. But then people started noticing that success and noticing how happy I was and that I was changing people's lives. And they're like, how can I do this too? And so I started helping them one-on-one. And at first it was for free because it was like friends. And then very quickly I was like, it was like friends of friends because friends had success. And then I was charging. And then not long after that, it was just not sustainable to help people one-on-one with that anymore. And that's when the 5-minute business was born, because I realized two things. Number one, I couldn't physically serve as many people as wanted my help one-on-one. And you follow the guru's advice, keep putting up your prices, keep putting up your prices. And that's not wrong. But what happened was my prices kept going up. I was still busy because people were still paying, but there was all of these people here that couldn't afford to pay my one-on-one prices that weren't getting helped. And because I wanted to help them, I decided I needed to do something to help them. But I just didn't want another course, because I think so many people are burnt out of starting, these courses that go for 6 to 8 weeks, and life happens and they get busy and they don't ever get the course finished. Or maybe they get it finished and they, really studiously complete the course, but then they get to the end of the course and they haven't actually implemented anything because they didn't have the time to implement in their business. So that's where this concept of the 5-minute business was born, because one of my superpowers is taking complex things and making them really simple. So I'm like, I'm just going to have a 5-minute lesson, super simple, 5-minute action, super simple, that takes them, 5 minutes to execute 5 days a week. And it's just going to be for people that want to keep moving forward and growing in their business, but they don't want to have to sign up for another course or another, big overwhelming thing. So that was the concept, and people have really loved it. It's taken off. We're actually relaunching it very soon. We've kind of rejigged things, and we're very excited about that relaunch.
Wow, that's such a nice way to build your business, Toni. So you mentioned that your superpower is breaking things down and making it really simple. A lot of people struggle in identifying their superpower. How did you figure out that this is what you are really good at?
You know what? I get it. I am really bad at those self-reflection exercises, and I really struggle to figure out some of these things myself. And you know what? It's been a journey, and the best way that I've learned that, but also so many other things about myself, is literally going out and doing things and making mistakes and getting things horribly wrong, but also listening to feedback where people just kept consistently saying, oh, Toni, I'd struggled with that for so many years. And in 5 minutes, I just totally understood it. And I love how you make things that are complex so simple. And I love how you made that thing that seemed so hard, very short and easy. And so I kind of just kept listening to this feedback and hearing from other people. So I would say, there's so many exercises you can do. My favorite kind of exercise you can do is Strengths Finder. I'm a strengths coach and I swear by Strengths Finder, but that only kind of tells you one thing that you can, well, not one thing, but like one way of looking at things. That didn't tell me that I was good at making things simple. It was listening to other people's feedback that told me that I was good at making things simple. So
wow, that's definitely a pro tip. Just keep your eyes and ears open for what others are telling about you, because sometimes they notice things because for them it's not easy, but for us it just comes naturally.
100%. And you will notice it, like when you start to be conscious about listening to that feedback, you will really notice it, because once I attuned my ear to it, like people just said it like all of the time. And pro tip, when you start to write your book or write your course or write, whatever you're going to do next, is using those ideal clients' words in your copy. Like they're like, you're speaking to my soul, they think you've got inside their head. It's like, no, I just listened to what you said. So
right. The other thing that I've noticed very commonly, especially with entrepreneurs, is there is this pitfall. They think that I want to quit my job because I want all the freedom and flexibility when I become an entrepreneur, but then they end up working harder as an entrepreneur and they get burnt out. And you said something similar, right? When you started working with too many people, you did not have any time. And the very reason why you started all of this is so that you can have your own time. So how do you balance that, Toni? And how do you set goals in such a way that you don't get burnt out?
Such a great question. And I have very passionate beliefs about this one. I think for me, when I started to get serious about my business, because I hadn't really planned to leave corporate at that point. Like it wasn't that I was not invested in my business, but I guess I kind of was like, well, why can't I have both? I wasn't at that point where I'm like, I have to leave. I hate this job and I really want this. So things kind of just happened organically. And then I was really busy and juggling a lot. But when I actually got a bit more intentional and went, actually, you know what, I'm not trying to juggle both of these things forever. I intentionally want to make a plan to make this business my thing. I took a really long look at my life, and this is what I would say to anyone is design your life before you design your business. And so I went and designed my life and I said, okay, this is how I want to feel. This is how many hours I want to work. This is how much money I want to make. And that was probably the three big ones. There was probably smaller things, but that how you want to feel is huge. The hours you want to work and when, not just the number, but like, when do you want to work? Because when I was working in corporate, I was doing a lot of like 2 a.m. conference calls because of the time difference and stuff like that. And then obviously, how much do you want to make? Then reverse engineer your business, because you can have a business only working a few hours a week and that has no impact on the profitability of that business, but it's about being strategic. And that's why, I'm very passionate about online, because I feel like you can reach more people in a shorter amount of time. I'm very passionate about one-to-many instead of one-to-one, because you can leverage and reach more people. So there's lots of things that it's one of the reasons I have a bias towards memberships, because of the recurring revenue. And so, but that's all because I designed my life first. So I think that's really important, is that as much as you're thinking about, well, what could my, could it be a course, or could it be a membership, or could I be a one-on-one coach, or what could I do? Don't think about that first. Think about first, what do I want my life to look like? And that will kind of indicate and give you some clues as to what your next thing should be that you should be launching in your business.
Yeah, I love the way you flipped it, lifestyle first, business next. And I could relate to this because the first business I started was perfect for me when I didn't have kids. And then as soon as the kids came into the picture, my complete lifestyle changed, and that business did not really support me. And that's when I had to re-engineer everything and start a different business so that it can sustain my new desired lifestyle. So yeah,
Yeah.
I can totally understand that. So you were constantly talking about online courses and membership sites, right? So you initially started with your online course about the 30-day program and all that, and now you are a huge advocate of membership sites. So if an expert who's listening to our conversation right now has to decide what's the right next step, maybe they are into one-on-one coaching, because I think that's the low-hanging fruit, and everybody gets started by helping somebody one-on-one. Because usually, we help people as a response to what somebody asks us, and usually that's a one-on-one kind of an interaction. But later, when they want to scale it and make it one-to-many, which is the right direction in 2022? Is it an online course or is it memberships?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's one of those answers where like there's no one size fits all. I'm also a huge believer in that your business really has to align with you and your own beliefs and your ideal customers and how they like to interact. So there's no one size fits all answer. But what I would say, like my general advice, which please, if you're listening, don't be like, I've got to do this even though it feels wrong. If it feels wrong, don't do it. But my general advice is to start with one-on-one, because then you get that great feeling for, who do I like working with most? And you don't have to do this for a very long time, but just to get a taster of what type of people do I like working with? What things do I like helping them with the most? What things help them move the needle the most? And kind of just get a taste for that. And pretty soon after, I always recommend that you do a course. And the reason, even though I love memberships, I always recommend, in most cases anyway, that you start with a course, because a membership, of course, you can close it down, right? There's no rule saying you can't close it down. But when you go into it, it is a bit of a longer term commitment because it's ongoing for a while. And so you sort of want to taste things and test the waters for yourself and for your clients before you go all in on the membership. So I always recommend, even if it's just a beta, doing a course where you sort of learn with those ideal clients about what they want and make sure that you like it. And that course can even just be 4 weeks, 6 weeks. It doesn't have to be a very long course. But when you do that, at the end, if you're like, I love this, that's when you then pitch your membership to these people. So that way you can very quickly, like you can escalate from one-on-one to course to membership within, honestly, any time, but like 3 months would be a very reasonable time. You can go slower as well if you want, but I think it's taking on a few one-on-one clients to get those learnings, very quickly offering a course, but offering it as a beta course, like not having everything pre-prepared and pre-done, and because you'll just spend so much time perfecting and procrastinating trying to get it done, but just finding some people, even if it's a small number, 5 people, 10 people that would be your ideal customers. And the goal of a beta course is not to make money, it's to learn. We're not, you can make money. I've had clients make 6 figures in a beta course or a beta membership so you can make money, but the goal isn't about the money. The goal is about learning, and it's about delivering as you go to learn and tweak and refine from those ideal clients. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I love this. This is my jazz. I want to stay working with these people long term. I've got all of these other things I can help them with. And that's when you can flip it into your membership. And then again, it's not about, at that point, it's not about making loads of money either. It's about, you've got these people and they help you, I guess, form your membership and be exactly how it should be. And then that's when you get everything perfected, and that's when it's all polished, and then you start selling it to the world at the price that you deserve to be paid. So that's my general advice. I hope that makes sense and that helps.
It makes total sense. But I just have this one question, Toni. A lot of people, especially the ones who want to start an online business, do it because of the freedom aspect. You can work from anywhere and at any time and all that. And people usually think that an online course is less of a commitment, because you just put all the videos out there and people buy it while you're sleeping, and there is not much of an effort afterwards. However, membership sites are very attractive because you get the recurring fee, but it's also expected from the coach to show up and be on live sessions and all of that. So what would be your advice to entrepreneurs as to how can they manage their time? In which aspects of the membership business should they actually be spending their time? And which of the things doesn't need the owners or the coach's time?
Yeah, it's a great question. So a couple of different things I would say. One is, I think it is a little bit of a misnomer that, courses just sell while you sleep and you never have to work again, and that memberships, you have to work hard, because, I know so many course creators who have spent all of this time and have this amazing course in their mind, but no one buys it. And so they're working so hard every week to try and market this course. And then their course is not getting great completion, and they get a lot of questions, and they still have a community for their course. So they're still providing in the community. So I would say, I think the time it would take, there's exceptions, right? There's some people that just nail their evergreen course strategy and they do go to sleep and do nothing and it happens. But I would say the vast majority of people are still working really hard to make those course sales, because every time they make one course sale, they have to make another course sale. Whereas with a membership, you would do, the same amount of marketing, but probably less, because it's usually lower cost than the course and to enter. And so it's an easier decision for people to go in, but then they're recurring as long as you keep them interested for a long period. And then also, it's a misnomer that you need to show up in your membership. Like, I have a few clients that do nothing in their memberships at all. Like, they literally do not participate in any way, shape, or form. I have one client where she's now starting a whole new business because her membership runs itself so much that she's bored. Like, she literally is creating work for herself to do in her membership. And look, that took a little bit of work in the beginning to set things up and to put people in place to manage things. But we're not talking a huge team. We're talking a couple of key people that aren't super expensive. And we're talking a bit of work setting up, the initial membership and socials and stuff. Like, we're not talking a crazy amount of work. So you can have no involvement at all. Again, it comes back to looking at your life and how do you want it to be. And if you want it to be that you're not involved at all, then we can design it that way. On the flip side of that, I would almost bet that most of the people you work with, authors, I think, tend to be like this because they wrote a book to help people, right? It's not just an ego trip at all. It's like they wrote it to help other people. And I think most of your people will probably enjoy the coaching element of the business much more than what they'll enjoy the marketing element of the business. So I think they actually will want to show up. And I think how much you show up is up to you. I mean, I have some people that show up multiple times a week, but they also charge a lot for their memberships to do that. I have some people that show up once a month. So I think it's really up to you. And then anything else in your business, aside from you coaching, anything else can be outsourced. You don't have to do it yourself. I always love to ask the question, who, not how. I don't need to know how to do some very technical thing in the back of WordPress. I just need to know who to ask to do that thing. And even when you're starting out, it's so much less expensive than what you think it would be to get really smart people around you. A lot of people are like, I have to do it all on my own. It's not true. That's actually holding you back in a lot of cases. And you don't have to hire a massive team or spend a lot of money, but just a few strategic specialists that can help you here and there can make a massive difference in your business. So I know that doesn't directly answer your question, but I think, the beauty about memberships,
it actually
is you
does
find it how you want to.
Yeah, I think my two takeaways would be that there is no fixed expectation out of a membership site. If you are the creator of that program, you decide how much you want to show up and how much can be automated and all of that, which is a great relief. And the other thing is that apart from the time where you are physically coaching and being on calls, all the other things can be pretty much outsourced. And that's very similar to writing a book as well. You don't have to do the cover yourself. You don't have to edit it yourself. So I think once people understand that, a lot more people will be willing to get started with their membership programs.
Absolutely. And the thing is, it's all just a trial. Like you design your life, and then you set up your business the way you think it's going to serve your life. And if it's not, you change it. Like that's the
Yeah.
beauty. There's no real university degree in how to create a business. Like, of course, you can go do a Bachelor of Business or an MBA. I've done both of those things. They didn't help me at all in my maybe at all isn't fair, but very much in my online business career. There's not a great degree because it's moving so quickly.
Yeah.
But people are so willing to invest in degrees, but they're not willing to invest in just giving things a go in their business. Because if it makes a mistake, like that's just a learning tax, right? It was just you paid a little bit to learn, and next time you know what not to do. So I would just encourage you to give things a go. People are not going to judge you. People are going to actually be really inspired by you taking that action. And if you make a mistake and you realize, oh, this isn't what I wanted it to be, pivot, change, tweak, you will have learned so much on that journey, so much more than procrastinating and looking for more courses to do to think about whether or not I should do my course or membership. Just doing it is the best way to learn.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect, final word of advice for all those experts out there who really undermine their expertise because of their fear of, showing up, helping others, and creating a business around their expertise. So thank you so much, Toni, for sharing your journey so beautifully and authentically. It has really touched my heart, and I'm sure the listeners and viewers are also like totally excited to get started on their membership program. So where can people go and find out more about you and your work?
Yeah, for sure. You can find me just at Toni Bache on Instagram, Facebook, my website. So wherever you go, that's where you'll find me under Toni Bache.
Awesome. Thank you, Toni, once again for being on Experts on Purpose.
Thank you so much for having me.